G'day guys, ZiggyD here. Yesterday, Season 4 of Diablo 3 launched, and I spent about 8 hours playing, streaming the game, having a pretty damn good time. In this video, I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of the Day 1 experiences, my report of Day 1, some of the changes, and my first impressions of the new season and of the new patch. So I had a lot of fun yesterday, did about 8 hours, did the leveling process in about 4 hours as a wizard. For the first time, I've decided to take a wizard into the season. I've played Demon Hunter pretty much every time. I always found it hard to pull away from Demon Hunter, and every time I was like, alright, I'm gonna finally try a new class. They release a cool new set for one of the classes, so I'm like, well, I guess we'll play more Demon Hunter. So I thought, I want to play something a little bit different. I've played a little bit of Wizard, like early Reaper of Souls and and in vanilla, but not much at all. So a lot has changed for Wizard. So it's been a completely new and actually pretty damn fun experience. I've heard mixed things about Wizard. Some people saying Wizard's not in the best place. I don't know about that. They seem like they're going pretty strong and certainly very fun to play. It could just be at the top end of Greater Rifts that people are talking about, not quite performing as well. But we'll see. We'll see. So I did the leveling process in about 4 hours. Still very fast to level in Diablo 3. Nothing really changed too much there. The leveling system is a bit more flexible now. Before now, the best way to do things was just to, and it was pretty much the way that everyone did things, was to do the same 4 or 5 bounties over and over again. You can kind of still do that, and it is still pretty efficient, but you now have the option of just flat back-to-back running rifts, and that's what we did to level. I grouped up with 4 subscribers, or 3 subscribers, and we just ran rifts. We ran rifts until about 20. We went into the campaign, killed the Skeleton King, got Leoric's crown with a socket, which I'm actually still wearing, and then we just rifted all the way to 70, and it was pretty damn fast, and it was actually pretty fun. It was a little more varied than doing the same bounties over and over again, because with that rift randomization. But you have the option of going in and doing a couple bounties while you're leveling, and if you want to take a bit of a slower leveling process, it sounds like it's a lot more interesting now, because you can actually do bounties and get a whole bunch of legendary set plans and craft legendaries to level with and stuff like that. So there's a lot you can do to make the leveling process a little more interesting, if you don't mind it taking a little bit longer as well. So that seems like a general improvement. Once I got to 70 though, guys, damn, this new patch is so good. Really, in short, this is the best season to jump back into some Diablo 3 if you haven't played it since the launch of Reaper of Souls or something, or if you've never even played Reaper of Souls, this is the chance to jump in for sure. This is the time to do it. This patch is a really solid improvement to the game. I don't think it's going to improve the longevity of the game much. I'm expecting it still to be something like a 1 to 2 week period of good, solid fun before it starts to, just become slight improvements over the same gear over and over again. But that's if you're playing 4 to 6 hours a day. If you're playing only an hour or 2 a day, it's probably still going to last a month or so before you kind of get to the boring period for most people. That said, though, that period, even if it hasn't really increased in length, that longevity hasn't really improved, it seems to me like it's going to be a much more fun period of time. So the density of enjoyment of the first part of the new season is going to be much better than before. And that's thanks to 2 major changes. Obviously, there's new content like new zones and things like that, which is pretty exciting. But the 2 major changes are the Kanai's Cube. Makes for a really fun item hunt and really kind of addictive, cubing different legendary effects and adding them to your character, which I'll go over in a second in a little more detail. But also the rebalance to adventure mode. It's much more interesting to do the 3 different things in adventure mode now, to do rifts, grifts, and bounties. And you know what? I enjoyed getting in and doing some bounties because I wanted to get the crafting materials for them to do the Kanai's Cube, not because I had to be able to get a bunch of Rift Keystones. So that's one of the changes. Rift Keystones have been removed. You don't need to get Rift Keystones to run regular Rifts anymore. So this means that when it comes to leveling, you can just chain them back to back and there's no issues there. I'm running out of arcane power. Not running a generator at the moment because I'm greedy and I've been running bounties. and not a proper rift running setup. But yeah, you can chain rifts as much as you want to level with, and then you do bounties because you actually want to do them. It blows my mind. It blows my mind that it's actually a feature that's there and you want to do it, not because you have to do it. So that's a pretty nice change. Doing bounties is a bit more enjoyable because of that. The mindset of it is a little nicer. And then doing rifts, you know, is still kind of the same thing. I did run into a cow rift yesterday, which was pretty damn fun. And then, like, that legendary hunt, finding, like, random legendaries that you wouldn't normally use is much more exciting when you think that when you're first gearing up and you don't have, like, your endgame set, and you don't have, like, the perfect best-in-slot legendary cube effect to add to your character. You just trying random things. You're just adding random things into your character that add a bit of power. Like, so far, for example, let's go back to town for a bit, and I'll talk a bit more about this Kanai's cube, because this is one of the biggest gameplay changes in this patch. Once you sort of get started, once you get to endgame, once you get to level 70, and you're starting to get get some gear for your character, you're starting to get your just first set of legendaries, and you're finding kind of whatever. I've got just like a mishmash of stuff. I've got like one item of two different sets. Nothing too major in terms of the items, but what you're doing is you're finding items and thinking, all right, this item's not very good, but the legendary set effect of it, or the legendary effect of it, is actually really nice. Let me go over to the cube here. So one of the features of the new cube, if you guys missed it, is the ability to strip a legendary of its power and wear it as a passive effect on your character. So as you can see here, my character has this permanent effect just here, and I can scroll down. I have this permanent effect of a belt that I found earlier, and it's now applied to my character as an extra passive ability. So I found this belt, this Archon belt, right? 20 stacks of Archon as soon as I enter Archon form. I'm like, damn, that's really nice, but this Thunder God's Vigor is way better. Like, I'm gonna wear this. And I'm like, well, I don't have, I think I might chuck that in the cube, strip the power off, and go for that. And now I've been like trying to search for a good weapon to find the good power of. It's addictive, man. I want to like strip all the powers and like swap between them and change them around and explore different builds. So this is a really nice boost to fun. So you get in to do those bounties in each act. There's the new kind of like reward system where you chase the reward around. So you're encouraged to get around to different acts. You don't have to do every act in the game, but it's kind of nice to get all of those crafting rewards a little more efficiently. So now I would do this one here in 3, and then it might move to 2, and I'd do that, and then I'd chase it around until I've cleared all of them and gotten the bonus from each one, which gives you more of those crafting materials and more items and things like that. But you can just remake the game if you want it to spawn in a different act. If you hate doing one certain act, for example, though you're eventually going to have to get in there if you do want to cube some legendaries. So it's a bit of forced variety, but more variety in bounty hunting is good instead of just doing the same, like doing Act 1 bounties over and over again. Getting a little more variety in there, and it's for a good purpose. Like the reward of it, this cube recipes are very satisfying. I've also had a bit of a crack at the upgrading a rare item. It takes a lot of crafting mats, especially Death's Breaths, which are a little hard to farm up. But the idea that you can take a rare wand, chuck it in, and upgrade it to a random legendary is pretty exciting, because I'm like, there's a lot of good legendary and set wands that I would be interested in getting. But I happened to get a Starfire, which was not that good on the second roll. The first roll I got something horrendous, so it's not always going to work out. But it's a fun sort of gamble to be able to do that, to have that extra way of deterministically moving towards a certain legendary. So that's been a pretty enjoyable experience overall. On the wizard-specific end of the spectrum, I have to say that Disintegrate is so freaking good for leveling an early endgame right now before you kind of get into a set that allows you to create a special, like a certain other build using other skills. I tried many different skills as like an effective kind of like leveling skill, and there are a couple that are okay, but the power to arcane efficiency of Disintegrate is insane. Most of the time you can run without a generator, especially if you're clearing with a party, and it just does huge amounts of damage so efficiently with arcane powder, especially when you use a two-hander as well, and it chews through that arcane a bit slower. It's just such an efficient leveling skill. I actually think that there might need to be some attention paid to Wizard's skill set to make some of the other AoE kind of leveling skills a little more attractive, because the potency of Disintegrate as a leveling skill just way outstrips many of the other options that I tried. So, good thing that Disintegrate is fun. I enjoy using it thoroughly. Something very satisfying about burning down enemies with it. but it would be nice to see some of those other skills be a little nicer for leveling perhaps, and a little nicer for early endgame. It's just really hard to move past Disintegrate as that kind of leveling skill. So I did a lot of disintegrating through rifts to get to level 70 and to gear myself up to this point so far. So there are 2 sets that I'm aiming for, and I'm probably going to try out. I've got 1 item from each set so far. The first one is this Veers set here, which is the Archon set. So if you enjoy the disintegrating action, this is a nice one to work towards. This Archon gives you the effect of every rune, and then you gain Archon stacks whenever you hit with an Archon ability instead of killing, so you get a massive damage boost that way as well as some armor and resistances too to make you a bit tankier in Archon mode. So very much looking forward to potentially building up that set. This other one here, though, I think it's actually a little more kooky and interesting. The Magnum Opus set, the Delcerius set here. This one here is a slow time set. So it's kind of like a slow time arcane orb hybrid build. There's probably some other things you can do it, especially with the Kaniak's cube crafting, but essentially it makes your slow time do massive amounts of damage in a large area, and then it amplifies the damage of arcane orbs thrown into that slow time too. So I'm excited to build up either of these sets, so having found one of each of these ones, a pretty good start. But I did happen to find, the Archon belt, so that's a plus for the Veers set. But I also found the cooldown one, which is both good for Archon and the slow time set, I think, as well. So I'm using the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac here, which reduces my cooldowns by 1 second whenever I hit with a arcane power spender. So that's been very nice as well for getting Archon mode up more often. So I'm having fun exploring Wizard. I think there's going to be some pretty nice variety of very different and interesting, very Wizard-feeling builds at endgame, so I'm very much looking forward to exploring some of those. I also managed to find this pretty sweet ring here, which I've been informed is pretty OP open after having tested. I can confirm this thing increases your melee resistance by 60% when you get hit with a melee attack with ice armor, and then it also casts a Frost Nova whenever you take 10% of your life in damage in one go. So it's pretty crazy because it like auto freezes and chills enemies around you, as well as making you super defensive against any melee damage. So if you want to play like a melee wizard, this ring is insane. So pretty damn nice find off the bat. I've actually found a few pretty cool items very early on, people, to the cries of many in terms of streamer RNG. Finding the Fizulas was pretty good. I've been informed as the best slot belt for any sort of Archon build. The Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac felt like a pretty nice find early on too. And then the Halo here, very nice stuff, as well as getting a couple set items. No luck on like the weapons front though. I've been struggling to get an okay weapon, so that was kind of struggling in that regard, but hopefully that turns around today. So overall, I don't know if this season is gonna have more longevity than previous seasons for me. Typically, Diablo has sort of become a game that I come back to every couple months and play for maybe 1 to 2 weeks and have a really good time doing it, but after that, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm done. I've done everything that I kind of wanted to do with this character, and unless I feel particularly compelled to reroll it with another class, I'm usually done by that point and right to leave it until there's kind of like a new patch or a new expansion or some new content or a new season starts up, which there's nothing really wrong with that. I think that the biggest thing that can be added to the game to improve it in the future will be to increase that longevity, but it seems like Blizzard have been doing a really good job with increasing the fun factor and kind of like the customization within that short period. So although it doesn't seem like the longevity has increased, it does seem like I'm having more fun this season than I did last season, so it's a pretty good sign. Anyway guys, I'm very curious to hear what your thoughts are and your first impressions are on the season. Make sure to tune into the live stream if you want to catch some of this action live. I'll leave a link down in the description below. That is it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.